wants to be king.
Sometimes it gets a little bit disheartening when you sincerely try to help people out, and your desire is more powerful, more convicting to you than those that listen to the message. And sometimes, I've got so many other things to do that, at times it feels like making these videos and doing this work and trying to share my thoughts on this. Sometimes it feels like I'm wasting my time. But then I get messages, from subscribers, like one of my biggest supporters. Shout out to Two Wheels Forever. When I get messages from men like that, it lets me know that there is a group of men that are out there that truly want to do something with their lives and become a better version of what they're supposed to be as a man. Over the past couple of weeks, past couple of months, I've been working on my own personal camp for young boys and also young fathers. And part of my desire to build this camp was there's such a massive lack of male leadership in our society. And I've seen this for the past 15 years in my gym, where I get these young boys that come from single parent households, usually from a divorce. And if it happens early enough and the father doesn't have an impact in the child's life, a lot of times these young boys, they grow up and they're very feminine, they're very soft. And over the years, at first I thought that I was just an old dinosaur and I was looking at things and being too harsh. But as I see how things are unraveling in our society today, there's no question that one of the biggest factors in the degradation of our culture is the lack of men and the lack of real male leadership and guidance. And, one of the things that really kind of sparked me to get back in front of the camera and, start marching back forward was a couple of things. The first, I guess, was a couple of weeks ago, I'd gotten back on YouTube to look for how to replace a part in my car, and I saw this.
Manscaping. When I manscape and shave my nuts, I want to fuck me. I want to fuck me. Like fuck the bitch. I want to fuck me. Okay? And I almost don't want to fuck her. Like, you ain't even worthy of this shit right now.
I couldn't even watch the whole thing because this shit is so cringy to me. And, to think that men actually pay money to go listen to this shit, it's really, to me, it's pretty obvious why we're in the situation that we're in now, when this is a topic of conversation at a men's convention. And then in the same news feed, I saw how China was sending their young boys to a military style boot camp because our Western culture and the coddling of the parents has turned their boys into pussies. And so while America falls apart with the socialist agenda and the pussification of men, our enemies, if you will, are passing laws to ban the things that make us weak and make us fall apart, and are also taking steps to fortify the future by making sure that their young boys grow up to be solid men. While in America, we are confusing our young men about their gender, and then once they become men, they hear about wanting to suck their own dick from a so-called leader. But the real catalyst for this message and my movement going forward was I got a notification for this event called the CME, the Cuck Mastery Expo, I guess. And the picture that flashed on it piqued my curiosity because I've made no secret about my disdain for a lot of the people that are in this space because of the various things that have rubbed me wrong as a man. And one of the biggest things is this desire to be famous, this desire to have some sort of internet celebrity, and then this feminine vaginal grasp at power. And so I clicked on this link, and it was almost like the universe is fucking with me, because I look at the roster of this event, and there's not one person on this roster that's supposed to be, you know, this conference for masculine excellence. Not one of those men strike me as masculine men. Not one of those men is anyone that I would take into any sort of fight with me at all, one bit. Now, I'm just judging this off of sheer appearance. I've only listened to maybe half of them, but the guys that are involved in this conference, over the years, I've watched their content, and I've just, you know, I've tried to listen objectively. And what I've noticed, and, you know, this is an answer to a question that Two Whales posed, you know, and it's an idea of subscribers. Now, one of these content creators, I have a little bit of respect for him. Coach Greg Adams says a lot of good things, but this dude's message is so fucking weak to me, because it's all about, you know, they brag about, you know, he plays defense. And it's all about telling men and young boys how dumb it is for them to want the most natural thing for a man to want. And it's all of this bullshit to sell books and services and phone calls and all of this fucking horse shit. But when you look at it, when you look at these men and you quantify them as men, I don't understand what kind of man looks to any of these guys for leadership or guidance. Because the way that I see it, and this is just my opinion, I look at Coach Greg Adams, and while I have respect for the dudes for what I believe is his mission and, you know, his stance on some things, I think in totality his message is that of being a fucking loser, being a grown little boy, being proud of being a fucking incel. And I'm not saying that he's an incel, but when you run around and you demonize marriage, you talk shit about anybody who wants to have a relationship, and you have a club of fucking losers that are cheering for this because they also fall into this category, that's problematic when men come to this space trying to find answers. Another one of them on this panel, the head honcho, or the one I would assume that's under Rolo, who I would believe is pulling the strings of this whole thing, but Donovan Sharpe. Listening to Donovan Sharpe talk about women is like listening to a fat fucker give you training advice. This overgrown Kermit the Frog motherfucker is a joke. Any person who refers to themselves as the great or an alpha or any of this shit, to me, these dudes are fucking snake oil salesmen, and they're goofballs. Donovan Sharpe is one of the biggest fucking dorks in this manosphere. And a lot of the people, I would argue that probably most of the people who prop this dude up, who pay him for his stupid womanese and all this dumb shit that he comes up with, these guys have got to be the biggest simps on the fucking planet. Who the fuck will listen to a fat check forger about dating relationship advice? Who is going to listen to a person who runs around and thinks Vegas is something badass? The whole idea of this conference, this man's conference being in Vegas, is hilarious to me, because Vegas, all Vegas is, it's a boomer's dream. It's a frat boy's jerk off. To have a man's conference in Vegas is like having a fucking Weight Watchers contest at a bakery. It's fucking stupid. and going and, you know, selling the lights and the glitz and the whores and the coke and all the bullshit. That's all that is. That's what makes this thing anywhat appealing to any loser dude, because they think that they're going to go here and have this Vegas experience. And you probably will have an experience with a bunch of fucking dorks. The tall, lanky dude from Fresh and Fit. All of these guys have basically, they've copied what Kevin Samuels has done with the, y'all get the likes up. Everything that Samuels does, everything that he's done, these clowns have mocked, mimicked. That's what they do. They're just fucking sheep. Now, I'm not knocking anyone's hustle. I'm not knocking anyone's hustle at all. If that's the way you get yours, then by all means get it. But what I'm saying is this: if your intention and your goal and your desire is to help men, then you should be willing to help men, not sell some bullshit, you know, language program about how to understand what women say. And my book is, if you have to read a book and get advice about whether or not a woman likes you or whatever, dude, she doesn't. That fucking easy. You just saved yourself $2,000. If you have to wonder if a woman is interested in you, if you have to think about it at all, then she doesn't. Because the way that this shit really works is this: if a woman is interested in you, she will make it known. That's the way that it goes. There's no tricks, there's no game, if you have to run game and talk all of this street hustler bullshit to catch some chick, like these POAs, if that's what you have to do, then that's cool. Do what you have to do. But to try to sell this to men is the way. That's just the way to talk yourself into more fucking problems. One of the biggest issues that I have is when I look at the manosphere, this space that's supposed to be for men, what I see is a bunch of bitches whining about what happened to them. When you're hiding in your van and you're constantly streaming different things. This is why you don't do it, guys. This is why, you know, it's just best to play with your dick in your van. And hey, you know, there are so many dudes who fit this profile. And that's what I came to understand. Very few people really want to do what they say they want to do. When men come to this space and want to find an understanding and find their footing after they've suffered something, let me take that back. Very few men want to hear, you know what, dude, that sucks, but it's your own fucking fault. Most people don't want to hear that. Most people, especially in America, don't want to look in a mirror of accountability and say, you know what, this sucks like a motherfucker, but I did it to myself. How can I fix this? Instead, it's way easier to latch on to some fucking band nerd like Rollo Tomasi and all this band of monkeys like the little crybaby Rich Cooper, who can't stop talking about single moms because he couldn't stop getting cucked out by single moms. So now he's a fucking expert. And now this dude runs around the country bumping off at the mouth about, this is why you don't do this. This is why you don't do that. And this is what a lot of these men are missing. Now, I'm not taking away the validity of any of the points. Some of the things are true. Some of the facts remain, but they don't need to be regurgitated over and over again. The idea that there's new men coming into the space and you got to keep doing it, that's all bullshit. What that's meant to do is keep you on the hook, keep you buying dumb programs, keep you spending $33 an hour to listen to some fucking loser tell you about why you don't do things that hurt him. There's a lot of projection. There's a lot of false macho bullshit. A lot of dudes holding the Bible in one hand and talking about pimp principles in another. There's a lot of fuckery in this bullshit manosphere because a lot of dudes are so busy and worried about celebrity. They're so worried about becoming the next YouTube star. They can't stop jerking themselves off and having these over-exaggerated ego trips about what their stance is. And because there's so many weak, pathetic fucking men, these channels grow. And these guys get paid. They get paid by regurgitating the same loser bullshit over and over again, convincing other dudes to live a life just like them because they're fucking losers. Now, I know if anybody hears this, which I'm sure they don't give a shit, and that's fine, because I don't come here to run with fucking sheep. I'm not trying to attract men and gain an audience full of fucking penguins clapping for me looking and pointing at every woman's indiscretion or every example I can come up with for why divorce or single motherhood or why anything is a bad idea. What's a bad idea is men being so caught up in vaginal shit, like fashion, like celebrity, like your status amongst your peers, like all of this bullshit. This Instagram male thing that we got right now is bitch shit. These dudes putting on suits and spraying cologne in their room, talking about sucking their own dick and jerking themselves. This is not masculinity. This is not what men are all about. The idea that you have to have $100,000 or more to be a high value male, to me, I think that is fucking hilarious. Because I know a lot of men that are wealthy that are pieces of shit. That doesn't make you high value. That just makes you have a lot of money. What men really need to do is this. Get off of the fucking internet. Get off of social media. Stop listening to this bullshit. If you spend $2,000 to go hang out with fucking a fat pimple face check forger and a bunch of losers to tell you about how to be high value, high quality, masculine, excellent. If you go to fucking Scrubs to learn that type of shit, what do you think you're going to get out of it? You'd be better suited to spend that $2,000 and go learn how to do something. Go learn a trade, man. Go spend that $2,000 and learn how to read a fucking tape measure and build something. Go do something that makes you more valuable as a man instead of trying to measure up to some metric that you're never going to beat. Because if you constantly measure yourself against other people, if you constantly measure your value, your worth, your whatever against other people, you're always going to lose. The best thing that you can do as a man, the only thing that you need to do as a man, is identify who the fuck it is that you want to be. Write down what that man is. Write down what he does. Write down who he is. And then start doing those things. You don't need a bunch of dorks to tell you how to do this. You don't need any of that shit. Go outside and just be who you are supposed to be. Go be you. Go do you. And whatever it is that moves you, go do that. Don't worry about women. Don't worry about how to attract rattlesnakes to your den. Don't do that. That's not the name of the game. That's not what men do. That's what little boys do. That's what teenage boys do. They're constantly worried about how to get chicks, how to get laid. How are you going to be a man? How are you going to be about your business, your grind, your hustle, your success if all you're doing is running around trying to fuck something? The only thing that you need to do as a man is put yourself around men, real men. Follow them. Follow them. Follow real men. And you'll become one. Out.